And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vasel. Welcome to Classic Reviews, where I'm taking a look at games in the Dice Tower library that I've reviewed a long time ago or never have reviewed at all. But why are they in the library? And I'm kind of updating them here for, as of when I did this review, 2021. Today we're talking about Heave. Now this is part of the Cosmos 2-player line, which back when this game first came out was a really big deal. Anytime a game came out, people were excited about it. Some of them were pretty terrible. Some of them are amazing and have stood the test of time, like Lost Cities. And some are kind of in the middle, which is where Heave is. Now that doesn't mean I don't like the game. I do, or I wouldn't probably be talking about it in this video. Heave, designed by Richard Borg, who's best known for the Command and Color system, Memoir 44, Battle Cry, Commands and Colors Ancients. He's done other games too, but that's clearly what he's best known for. But Heave is more of a silly tug-of-war game. Tug-of-war makes sense for a theming, trying to go back and forth, pulling a rope. And this one, you're some Scottish folk fighting over some whiskey through tug-of-war. It is a 2-player game. It's pretty simple, but has things I haven't seen in many games before. Let me show you. In this game, the first person to win 3 whiskey barrels is the winner. And you're going to do so in a series of contests. For each contest, each player is going to be given 20 cards randomly out of a 55-card deck. You'll say, ready, set, go. You're going to draw 2 cards from your 20 cards, and you're going to pick one for yourself and one for your neighbor. And you're going to keep doing that. The first person to finish shouts stop. The other person, if they're not finished, has to immediately stop, and you get to then sort out the rest of their cards. Again, giving one to yourself and one to your opponent. And whoever is the first person to shout stop is going to have the whiskey barrel start one space closer to them. Players are then going to take the cards that they've gotten. You'll have 20 cards, and you're going to draw a handful of 6 of them. And then players are going to take turns going back and forth playing cards. Now, when you play a card, many of the cards match colors. And so you'll see there's 3 colors on each side. Right now, the strength of each side is it starts at a 6, 2, 2, and 2. But I can play this card, and I would not play it on my side as a 1. I would play it on my opponent's side. So now I'm 6 to 5. They might respond by playing a neutral person who can be played anywhere and putting it here. Now it's 7 to 6. And I'm like, well, I'm going to just replace that and turn it back into a 2. And then they decide to change this to a 1. I change that 1 to a 4, and we just go back and forth. But sometimes when you play a card, it says Heave on it. When that happens, we immediately see the comparison. So here it's 8 to 5. The difference is 3, so I pull the barrel 3 spaces towards my side. If the barrel ever goes over to the end, I win. If the round ends and players have gone through all their cards, whoever the barrel is closer to wins it. We pull a new barrel out and we start again. Now there's also special cards in here. Name a value, remove and discard all topmost cards with this value from both sides of the rope. So they could say 4. And then the topmost 4 would be gone, which wouldn't be good for me. Draw the top 3 cards from your team stack and add them to your hand. And in this deck, you'll notice there are 0s. That person just didn't show up for the rope event that day. And there are 1s to 3s. There's even a 6 here where you have Nessie. But Nessie is very dangerous because there is one special card in the deck, that monstrous, which says if your opponent has Nessie, her hunger overcomes her team spirit and you win. You just straight up win. So you got to be careful when you play her. And sometimes I've even played her on my opponent's side and then played the hunger card to take out my opponent. And here this is just a Heave card. And that's how you play. You just keep playing round after round. That the most you're going to play is 5 rounds, and one person's going to win. The art on the game has had some people not like it over the years. I tend to like it. I like that the people who are one, they're trying and they're just not doing well. The threes are stronger. All the neutral cards are women, so they can be played everywhere. They're better than the men for the most part. The artwork is silly and cartoonish. I've just always enjoyed it. And it looks good, right? When I put this card down in this spot, that person is pulling on the rope. But there's not much more to it than a board, a deck of cards, and some of these barrels. But I'm pretty happy with the components. Heave Ho is not a perfect game, so let me mention some of the problems with it. Somebody can kind of ruin the game. So when you get those initial 20 cards, which by the way, you don't have to play that way. You could just draw 20 cards and give to each player and you just deal with the cards you get. But as you take these cards, you look at two, you pick one for yourself, one for someone else. I have played with at least one person in my life who just was like blah, 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 and they threw the 10 cards as fast as they could just so that they could get the whiskey barrel on their side and then take their 7 cards, the 16 cards that the other person has left, and then they could slowly go through those. So I've made a house rule that you have to at least look at the cards before you decide which pile they go into. But that's probably a person problem over a game problem. But I do like that concept. Do you take the 0? I want a 0. Why? So I can play it on your side. I also want the cards that say Heave Ho on them because I like to control when that happens, although you can be in a situation where you're forced to play one of those. Other than that, though, the gameplay is really simple. I mentioned the Nessie. Play the Nessie and then the card that makes Nessie eat her whole team. Sure, that's a trick in the game. But other than that, you're just playing good cards on yourself, bad cards on another person. It's a 2-player take that game. And yet because I think the theme, personally, is very fun and silly, and it's a back and forth, and it's not very long, it tends to be one that's very enjoyable. I've taught this to most of my children over the years because it's a game we can play back and forth, or they can play with each other. Me and my wife used to play this back in the day when we were looking for something lighter, almost a palate cleanser, because you play a game like Lost Cities, which is also in this line. It's very thinky. You're always like sitting there like, oh, what card are you going to play? Here, I know what card you're going to play. You're going to play a good card on me, on yourself, and a bad card on me. But while I usually deride that sort of thing, this one does so in a strong thematic sense. It's fast, and there is some tactical nature to the cards that you play. And also, you know what cards you've given your opponent, and you know what cards you have in your deck, or at least half of them. So there's a little bit of kind of gas and counter gas there. I don't want to make the game sound much deeper than it is, though. It is more silly fun. But it's silly fun that I think is worth being in the Dice Tower Library, and so that's why I've added Heave Ho. I'm Tom Vasel, and this is a classic game from the Dice Tower Library. Dice Tower Judgment approved!